Hi, this is Sandra, and in this video is going to be the start of several parts where I read from the database, insert into the database, and then populate the form. The first part I'm going to do is set up the graphical user interface for inserting a learner into the database. My next video, the second part, will be creating the class for the learner with the member variables and getters and setters and so on. The third part will be creating what's known as a DAO, a data access object, where all my database code is going to go. The fourth part will be tying it all together. And then the fifth part, I will select learners from the database and pop them into a table on the form. What I'm going to use in this is a framework as well called the Model View Controller. So the model is where my class will be my learner class with my member variables and getter setters. The view will be the code for the graphical user interface, and the controller is where my database code is going to go. So I'm going to start off in this video with just setting up the graphical user interface and creating the project here. So File, New Project, so Java with Maven, yeah. Now the package here, I'm going to start off, I probably create other packages. Just thinking out loud here, I'll leave it at com.sandra and I'll create different packages within that. And this is going to be my learner database. And finish. Now in here, source packages. So I'm going to create a new package in here. com.sandra. So it's going to be model view controller. So I'm going to start off with the view, which is my graphical user interface. Into the view, I'm going to put in a new JFrame form. So this will be my learner frame. So I'm going to insert here, and I'll be able to see all the learners there as well, excuse me, in other parts of the videos. And finish. Now, if you're up to date on how to create your own GUI, you can probably skip to the end and just see what it looks like, or you can follow me along here as I create it as well. I'm going to start off with a label on the top here and the text, and this is going to be add a learner. Now just to increase the size of that a lot, I've got the font. Also to change the color, I'm going to change the foreground there, click on the ellipses. We'll go with a nice blue. And horizontal alignment, center. Now next I'm going to have 3 labels for my name, address and age. And label name, address and age. And just right now, before I go on, I'm just going to show you the database that I've already set up, and I have another video on how to set up that database. So I'll pop a link on the screen for how to set up the database, and it's done in SQL Server. So I have a learners database here. I have one table in it called learner, and this is the design, it's what it looks like. So I have an ID, which is what I call an auto number. What SQL Server call it is an identity specification. So I don't insert into that. I have it as set up as an automatic number. First one will be 1, second one will be 2, and so on. So I need to just insert the name. I have as varchar 50, address varchar 200, and age set up there as an int. Okay. So on my form, I'm going to have corresponding labels and controls to take in that information. So name. This will be the address, and lastly there the age. Now I can highlight all 3 of those just to increase the font on it, to make them a little bit bigger. There we go. Look, you have to increase the size of each one of these. When you're doing your design as well, there is a button up here with a little frame with an eye on it. You can click on that just to preview what your design will look like. Now, unfortunately, there's no guarantee that when you run it, it'll look the exact same, but it gives you an idea anyway. For the name, I'm going to add on a text field. There we go, text field. And for the address, I'm going to use a text area. And for the age, I'm going to use a spinner. Now I need to move down my labels here. Now, just to change the properties of these, I'm going to empty the text out of the text field just by right-click Edit Text and Delete. I'm going to rename all of these properties now. Change variable names. My text field is going to be txt name. The address, I'm going to rename to txt address. And the spinner, change variable name spn age. Now the age there starts at 0. If you go to the properties window, now just in the properties window for spinner, so there is a value property there, and by default there it's 0. You can't type in a value there. I wanted to set the initial value at 18. If you click on the ellipses, by default there that's on value from existing component. Change that to custom code, and then you can type in the value that you'd like it to be initially at there. So spinAge.setValue, and just type in 18 in there and OK. And now when you run your program, first time you run it there, it'll ask you what the main class is, and the JFrame comes with its own main, so you can just select the main class. And I had to increase the size of the spinner there as well. So the initial starting value there is at 18, which I think makes more sense instead of 0. Now what I'm also going to add on here is a button to save the learner. So right click Edit Text, that'll be Save. I'm just going to increase the font there as well for that button. And rename it in code, change variable name btn save. Now before I leave this, what I'm going to do is when the user presses the save button, I want to make sure that at least they have the name inserted. Leave it that the address can be blank, and if they have the age as something obscure, that's okay for the moment. So what I'm going to do is double click on that button, and where's it gone to here? So that brings me to the action performed for the save. So I'm just going to write code to make sure that the name isn't empty. So the name text field is txt name. If txt name dot get text dot equals, that's how to compare what's in it to another string, and I'm going to say there an empty string. So if the text is empty, I'm going to display a message to the user. So J option pane, I need a control space there twice for some reason. J option pane dot show message dialog. Root pane, that's this parent frame, is the root, is where it'll show up on. What's the next one? The message. Please enter a name. The title on it, error, no name. And finally the message type, so that's a constant from the J option pane class. J option pane, and we'll go with an information message. And I'm going to split this up. Okay, so let's just run that and see. So if I hit the save button and I haven't typed in anything, that message there should pop up. Please enter a name. Okay. I'm going to add in a tiny bit more validation here. So what I want to do, if the user hasn't typed in a name, I'm going to tell them the message, please enter a name. I'm going to just have the cursor click in there, just a little, make it a bit posher. And as well, I just want to validate that spinner to make sure that it's not a negative number that's been input. So what I'm going to do here, if the name is empty, just to click in the text field. So click in the text field. So to do that is the name of the text field, text name, dot request focus, and what that will do is it'll put the cursor into that text field if the user has not input a name, so if it's empty. So say the cursor is down here, and click save, please enter a name, and see there the cursor will now be available in the name text field. And then finally, if the name is not empty, so if there is something in it, control will go down here to the else. I'm just going to validate the spinner, so validate the age so that it is not negative. So so the spinner, SBN age dot, there's a get value method. And get value, it returns an object, but I have I have set, it's an int that's in there. So what I need to do is I need to cast that object into an int. There's a couple of ways to do that, but I think the easiest way is just before that, put int in round brackets. So what it's going to do, it's going to get the value from the spinner, so be it a negative or positive number, turn that into an int because getValue returns object, and I'm going to say if that's under 0, so if they've input a negative number, and I'm going to display a message here for that. So JOption pane. Now I've just made a mistake here, I know, because that bracket's gone off on me. Just going to put that closing bracket in there. Okay, that looks a bit better. It should be over there. Okay, JOption pane. .show message dialog. So parent component is this one. The message is age cannot be negative. And the title on it, error, incorrect age. And finally, the message type. So we'll go with a constant from the JOption pane class. We'll go with an information message there again. Or in this case, actually, maybe error message would make more sense. Yeah, so that's the last little test on that. Save that and hit run. Yeah, it's running there now, just taking a little bit of time. Okay, so an empty name. Please enter name. Okay. Just type in anything there for the name, but put in a negative number here for the -1 for the age. Age cannot be negative. Okay, so that needs to be fixed there as well. And that is it. So in the next video, I will create the learner class in the model package. So that is some of the view done. We still need to link the view up with the database code, and I write that in the controller package. So please see the next videos in my playlist.